Alright, we officially have our first Lakers-related free agency news, to a surprisingly slow Lakers free agency start and overall NBA free agency start too. And well, that happens to be about both an addition and subtraction to their team on the wing. The subtraction being the player we all thought it would be, that being Dorian Finney-Smith, officially agreeing to a brand new 4-year, $53 million guaranteed contract with the Houston Rockets. And while I obviously really like Dorian Finney-Smith and did want him to come back to their team, that's definitely too much money for him and too much guaranteed money for a 32-year-old wing that, although is very productive yet, is on the decline already and probably won't be worth that amount in 2029 now at this point. So hate to see it for Dorian Finney-Smith, but he is officially leaving their team in for a contract that he wasn't quite worth in my opinion. But then for their addition and I guess replacement, maybe for Dorian Finney-Smith, that happens to be Jake Laravia. A guy we've heard about being linked to their team and a guy we've seen working out with Austin Reeves, who they do happen to share the same agent, that being Aaron Riley of AMR Agency, also Reggie Berry I guess too. That might kind of be a hint toward it and was a hint toward it, and now they have officially signed him. Signing him to a contract worth $12 million over 2 years now, which is kind of the question now about did they sign him using part of their full mid-level exception, or do they sign him with the entirety of their taxpayer mid-level exception? Now that might be answered by the time this video gets out, and if it is, I'll try to add a disclaimer at the end, but that's kind of the question here. Are they not guaranteeing all their full mid-level to Deandre Ayton? Are they giving some of it to him and some of it to Jake Laravia? Are they offering him simply part of it and only 2 years out of a possible 4-year contract? Or what exactly do they do here with them? That's yet to be seen and definitely is up for debate here, what it should be or what it should not be with him, but I guess we'll have to find out about that. However, regarding Jake Laravia and the player they got here, definitely is a young, intriguing player that had a very good end to last season. After being traded to the Sacramento Kings, he really started to flourish, even prior to that point with Memphis too, and I think they definitely regret trading him and not guaranteeing that final year of his contract for that fact. Last season overall though, put up roughly 7 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 2.5 assists per game in only 20 minutes per game, shooting 47.5% from the field and 42.3% from beyond the arc. Very impressive, and not to mention on only about 2.2 attempts per game, but translating that to per 36 minutes, roughly 4 of them per game, and has shown to be a fairly productive, efficient, high volume shooter at times too. Last season, for example, took roughly 7 per 36 minutes, 6.2 per 36 during his rookie year, so definitely has shown the ability to be a pretty high volume shooter in some limited minutes. But like I said, once he finally got his opportunity late last season, he definitely did begin to flourish, showing ability on both offense, like we talked about, with the scoring ability, with the 3-point shooting, even with some decent playmaking ability too, but then also on defense too. Having his best defensive season per advanced stats here, having a plus 1.1 defensive BPM rating, much of that coming with Memphis rather than Sacramento, which is obviously affected by Memphis being the better defensive team, but simply by watching Jake Laravia play and knowing the defender that he is, or at least can be at times, I think there is enough to call him a 3&D wing here. You know, probably not the level of a Dorian Finney-Smith, definitely not in regard to a help defender, a team defender, or simply the experienced, versatile defender that Finney-Smith is, but there is a bit more lateral mobility here with Jake Laravia, is younger and therefore a bit more mobile and more athletic than Finney-Smith, does have more room for growth here in my opinion as well, could definitely be a good to possibly even borderline great defender eventually, if he really commits to it and if he really buys in on defense. But all around there is more upside here with him on both ends of the court compared to Dorian Finney-Smith. And well, that's kind of the trend they're currently going with, currently going in a younger direction to fit Luka Doncic's timeline, rather than more of a all-in 1 to 2 year time frame to fit LeBron and Anthony Davis's timeline, which is what they were currently working with prior to this point. But again, now with Luka Doncic, they're definitely going that younger direction. I mean, putting guys around him that can fit a 5 to maybe even 10 year time frame, being with him throughout that entire time and growing with him. That's really signaling what they did here with Jake Laravia, and this is only the start of it too. I imagine that all of their signings are going to be 28 or younger, ideally to fit with Luka Doncic. I mean, maybe they'll sign a vet and likely at center if they have to, with the current center market. Apart from Deandre Ayton, who we have talked about and will continue to talk about, the other centers are older, so I guess I wouldn't really say with that, but for the wing players and for the guards around Luka Doncic, either with him or behind him in the rotation, I think they will be going with a younger direction. Again, shown by Jake Laravia here. However, I think there is some question about what they plan to do with him in the rotation. Is he now going into their starting lineup? Is he a better fit than Rui Hachimura in their starting lineup? You know, I think that has to be answered by the moves they make after this point. Will they make a trade? Will it be for a 3&D wing like an Andrew Wiggins or somebody like that, for example? Will that be their new starting wing player? Their starting small forward with LeBron, Luka, and Austin? Or will it be Jake Laravia, and is that the plan here? In my opinion, probably not for the starting lineup. I think he's more replacing Finney Smith's role off the bench. Not exactly that role again, he can't fill it entirely defensively and isn't Dorian Finney-Smith on defense, but simply about that 25 minutes per game, that kind of role off the bench, playing that small forward, power forward mix kind of role behind LeBron and Luka and Rui Hachimura. I think that's more what's in store for Jake Laravia here. Playing that role for this season, doing different things than Dorian Finney-Smith offensively, still feeling that catch and shoot role, which he definitely can fill again, coming off a very efficient 3-point shooting season, like I pointed out before, but also doing more on offense than Finney-Smith ever did or really could do for their team. Having more on the dribble game, being able to attack the rim a bit more and actually take defenders off the dribble, that's something that Jake Laravia can do, that Dorian Finney-Smith really couldn't do. So that does add another element to their game, adding a player off the bench that can create his own shot and is not afraid to create his own shot, sometimes for better or worse at times, but simply adding more confidence and a little bit more of a spark plug off the bench might be a good option for them and might actually improve their team in some ways too. And well, to finish up here I guess with Jake Laravia and going back to that contract amount he got, again a 2-year $12 million contract, which if it would be the non-taxpayer mid-level exception, a portion of it, that would leave the Lakers with roughly $8.3 million left of it. And pertaining that to a different free agent, like the Deandre Ayton, as that's apparently their main target and should be their main target in my opinion, and I imagine in many of your opinions too, that would mean they have $8.3 million left to offer him in free agency. And well, according to reports, he did take a $10 million contract buyout from Portland, so that wouldn't be enough to completely compensate or recompensate what he lost with the Portland Trail Blazers. Will that be a problem for him? I'm not entirely sure, as he still did make roughly $23 million apart from that, actually $25 million, let me correct that. But would the $8 million be enough for him? Maybe, maybe not. I think and I hope it's more about fit for him, joining a team that not only has plenty of playing time to offer him, which the Lakers obviously do, neither having a center at starter or current backup at the moment, unless you consider their two-way contract of Trey Jemison, which I really don't. They definitely have that to offer Deandre Ayton. Also having great fits and great playmakers to put around him. Obviously Luka Doncic, LeBron James, Austin Reeves, maybe you've heard of them. Yeah, they have that to offer and surround him with too. So from that standpoint, definitely won't be an issue for him. But did they maybe kind of go in the wrong direction about the salary amount they have left to offer him? Can't offer him anything above $8.3 million now at this point. They no longer have the full mid-level exception to offer him. So does that mean they maybe can't get Deandre Ayton? Or maybe think they can't get him? Again, I'm not entirely sure, reports say otherwise, so I wouldn't worry about it quite yet. But this does shock me a little bit. Given the fact that I thought and many others thought it would take the entirety of the full mid-level to get Deandre Ayton, this actually might go against that, and who knows, maybe it might not be enough to get him. Hopefully it will, but this is something we might look back on and either question, or say it was a great move for them as it got them both Deandre Ayton and Jake Laravia. And well, with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the addition of Jake Laravia, a 23-year-old potential 3&D wing that they signed for a 2-year contract worth roughly $12 million? Is he a good replacement, or is he meant to be the replacement for Dorian Finney-Smith? How do you feel about the subtraction of Dorian Finney-Smith? And how do you feel about this move and how it might change the direction with Deandre Ayton, or maybe not affect it at all and actually be enough to get Deandre Ayton? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.